Walking alone is a way to ease your mind. But what would you do about the shadows that lurk behind? Don't be afraid of the dark, for this is Tales from Around the Campfire. What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another video. Now, you might be thinking, is that a game video? No, it's sort of like a podcast or whatever, like that I would love to do every October. I did one last year. It was called the After Dark Podcast, but you know, after digging in, I did see that somebody had the name the After Dark Podcast already. So I had to change it up. I didn't want to take their name. All right, so we're called the Tales from Around the Campfire. All right, why? Because look at this. Look what's in front of you. A campfire. All right, so sit back and enjoy the stories. Now, the first one that we're about to read comes from a website called npr.org. And this article is called The Creepiest Ghost and Monster Stories from Around the World. Alright? It was uploaded on October 31st, 2014 by Cecilia Meza Martinez and Jean Demby, I believe. So this website will be linked down below if you guys want to read it for yourselves. But if you don't, without further ado, let's get into the first story, shall we? This first story is called The Night Demon. An evil creature stalks the Tanzanian island of Pemba in the Indian Ocean. It can change shape, a bat sometimes, a human-like form at others. It prefers to come out at night, but some say they have seen it during the day. The Popobawa, batwing, in Swahili, is indiscriminate in its targets, but in a common retelling, the spirit sexually assaults men. The Popobawa story is rather new, only dating back a few decades from the time of civil unrest following the assassinations of the country's president. The popular thinking goes that after a Popobawa attacks, victims must spread the word to others in Pemba, otherwise they will continue to be visited by the Popobawa. Reports of attacks sent some locals into a panic. A few years ago, a series of nighttime sexual assaults were blamed on the Popobawa. Some men are staying awake or sleeping in groups outside their homes. The BBC reports in 2007, others are smearing themselves with pig's oil, believing this repels the attack. A peasant farmer named Nyaka Hamad claims he was attacked by the Popobawa in 1997. I couldn't see it. I could only feel it. But some people in my house could see it. Those who have got the spirits in their heads could see it. Everybody is terrified. They were outside screaming, Huyo. It means the Popobawa is there. I had this bad pain in my ribs where it crushed me. I don't believe in spirits, so maybe that's why it attacked me. Maybe it will attack anybody who doesn't believe. Moral of the story, believe, people. Believe, If you can believe in aliens outside of our own world, then we can believe that there are spirits around us. Some good, some bad. Some willing to help, and some willing to do bad. This next one's called The Girl in the Bathroom. Beware the third stall. In Japan, the schools contain an infernal secret. If you go into the girl's bathroom in the third floor of the building and walk in the third stall, you might find her. You have to knock 3 times and call her name. A code switch reader named Jessica tweeted as, "When you open up the stall door, a little girl in a red skirt will be there. The little girl with the bob haircut is Hanako-san. She wants friends to play with, maybe. Or perhaps she wants to drag you to hell through the toilet. Depending on which part of Japan you live in, she may have a bloody hand and grab you, or be a lizard that devours you," Jessica said. "Although I am getting scared just thinking about her right now." Hanako-san has been a fixture of Japanese urban folklore over the last 70 years. The most popular origin story for the tale holds that during World War II, a schoolgirl was sitting in the bathroom when the bomb fell on top of the building. The school collapsed on top of Hanako-san, who has been trapped there ever since. But Hanako isn't the only schoolgirl who haunts Japan's bathroom. Kashi Mariko, another young girl who's said to have been cut in half by a train. Now her disfigured spirit inhabits bathrooms, asking children who enter the stalls where her legs are. The legend goes that if Kashi Mariko is not satisfied with their answer, she will rip their legs off. I mean, next time you go to Japan, right? Which is hopefully soon. We don't want to mess around with the third stall, because we wouldn't know what to do in that situation, right? This next one goes out to Kashi Mariko, the one we were just learning about, right? Kashi Mariko is an urban legend about the ghost of a woman who has lived in Hokkaido, Japan. One night while she was out, she was attacked by a group of men. They beat her and abused her horribly, ran off, and left her for the dead. She tried to call out for the police and help, but nobody heard her. Desperate to be saved, she crawled forwards to try and find someone, but unfortunately collapsed in a railway track. The train came along and ran her over, killing her and cutting her in two. Her body was severed at the waist. It is believed that she came back as a vengeful ghost soon afterwards, but upon arriving her death spot, found out that her lower half was missing. From there on, she searched the world looking for her missing legs, and supposedly, if you meet her, she'll ask you a few questions, and if you can't give her the right answer, you'll have to pay a price. Kashi Mariko is similar to Teke Teke, since they both have been run over by a train and cut in half, but they're not the same person. She is said to be mainly encountered in bathrooms for some reason. I'm not sure why. At least 3 urban legends I've searched have been involved with ghosts in the bathrooms, but I guess that's the popular place for ghosts to hang out in Japan. Anyways, she is usually in school bathrooms, but can apparently also appear in your bathroom at home in the middle of the night. If you enter the bathroom and see her there, she will ask you a question. If you cannot answer correctly, she will tear off your legs. If she asks, "Where are my legs?" the answer is, "On the Meishin Expressway." Meishin Expressway is a toll expressway in Japan where it is rumored that she had her legs cut off. She will say, "Who told you?" You should reply, "Kashi Mariko told me." It is said that the answers are supposed to be answered in Japanese, and she will ask you the question in Japanese. So if you're heading to Japan, there's another yet reason to learn Japanese. Although I would recommend learn Japanese for many other reasons, such as better communication skills and understanding. She also might ask a trick question. Do you know my name? Apparently, if you say Kashima, that isn't the right answer. She will kill you if you say her name. Instead, say Mask Death Demon in English. This will cause her to vanish and leave you alone. If you wonder why, it is said that with her name means Kashima stands for common, shinin Ma, which stands for masked dead person demon. It is said that after hearing the story of Kashi Mariko, she will appear to you within a month. I wrote this story about a month ago and nothing happened. So don't worry. It's not true. Well, now that we all heard it, we know how to repel Kashi Mariko. It's very sad, really. Not a lot of people do um, anything to help those in need, those in real need. You know, what would you do if you were walking by? Hmm? Would you would you help Kashi Mariko out in her time of need? Would you be the hero of the story, or would you just glance away? This next one's called "The Woman of Your Worst Dreams." In Brazil, a tall, skinny woman with long, yellow fingernails and red eyes creeps along the rooftops and watches families inside of their homes. She watches them as they sit on the table for dinner. She watches them while they eat la pisaderia. After the meal, when someone goes to sleep in a full stomach, la pisaderia sneaks into the room. Then she sits on their chest so they cannot move. The pisaderia that has attacked them watches them as they begin to panic. The victim's eyes partly open, but they're neither fully asleep or fully awake, helpless and trapped in a body that won't move. Sleep paralysis is a well studied disorder. The worst thing is when you try to fight or call for help. A Redditor said in a conversation about the experience with it, where like your voice doesn't work and your body will not respond. You just feel helpless. And amongst those who suffer from it across many cultures, there is one unsettling common experience and sense that a malevolent force is hovering over them in their immobile state. The earliest one I can remember is with my mother in the room, and she's sitting in my bed. Her face morphs into a demon like I read her shared in a thread on sleep paralysis, or a large dark figure, kind of a human silhouette emerging from the roof of my bed, staring down at me. Could her mom or the silhouette have been la pisadera? They went on. Ugh, I need to stop trying to remember these things. I'm getting chills. Sleep paralysis, um, you know, it's not as common as you think, but when you experience it, you do feel quite vulnerable. I remember one time when I was sleeping, I was sleeping in my chair and I was alone. Um, and I've actually experienced the sleep paralysis for myself. It's not a pleasant experience, like something that you don't want to experience at all. It's terrifying. Um, you know, you try to fight back, but you can't. But I didn't see no silhouettes, or I didn't see no demon face in my room. Instead, I heard voices. I heard voices all around me, with no one in sight. Like around 10 to 30 seconds later, after trying to fight off the sleep paralysis, I emerge from whatever state I was in, and the voices stopped. Feels good getting that off my chest. This one's called The Weeping Woman, and last year we actually read this one, but this time we're reading it again, just to open up this episode of the Tales from Around the Campfire. Her name was Maria. She lived in Mexico. She had long, dark hair and a covetous heart. The man she loved would not have her, so she took her children in a fit of rage, took them down to the river and drowned them, one by one. When the man she loved spurned her again, she realized that what she'd done. She took herself to the water and threw herself in, to subject herself in the same fate as her children. But heaven would not have Maria, and she was condemned to wander the world in perpetual grief. She is La Llorona, the wailing woman. The people who have seen her said they can hear her walking, soaking wet, wearing all white, and she can be heard crying out for her little ones. Ay, mis hijos, she weeps. Oh, my children. Some say that she snatches young children as she walks, mistaking them for her own. Children along Mexico border grew up with her story, which traces itself to stories about several different female spirits in the Aztec Empire. My earliest memory of her is being in elementary school and being in the girls' bathroom, says Terry Martinez, who grew up in Texas in the Rio Grande Valley. She and the other young children who tried summoning La Llorona in a bathroom mirror. The lights had to be out, Martinez says. The door had to be closed. They splashed the water in the mirror and say her name 3 times. La Llorona, La Llorona, La Llorona. It was just seeing who could stand being in the dark room and seeing how long we could have stand there waiting for her to come out of sync, Martinez said. It usually ended up with a bunch of little girls screaming and running out of the bathroom. Kat Cho contributed to this story. Yes, La Llorona, the weeping woman, has many stories or many versions of the story back in Mexico. You know, if you ask around wherever you are in Mexico, you will most likely hear one story, one side of the story or the other, depending, like I said, on where you go. Just in Japan, depending on where you live, the urban legend always change. This next set of stories comes from a website called holbrooktravels.com. Alright, like I said, these websites plus the one that we read about Reiko will be in the description down below if you guys want to read it for yourselves. You know. So, yes. So, and the article is called "Spooky Ghost Stories from Around the World." It was uploaded on October 29, 2015, and it's by Jessica Samuelson. The first story is called Galapagos Island, the Headless Glinda. According to locals in Beltra Island, the former American Air Force Base is haunted by La Gringa Sin Cabeza, the Headless Gringa, or the Headless Woman. Okay? Legend says that an American serviceman and his cheating girlfriend lived in the base during World War II. The soldiers pushed his girlfriend off a cliff when he found out she was cheating on him, and her head got caught on something and tore it right off. Her ghost is said to target solitary men late at night by either ambushing them or crushing them while they sleep. Now, my question to that is why? I'm a solitary man. I'm single, yes, but why would I have to die for that? You know? Like, wouldn't it be the opposite way around? You know, like, wouldn't it be getting the men that have cheated on their wives or girlfriends? I don't know. This next one comes from Venezuela. El Silbón. El Silbón, the Whistler, is said to be the ghost of a young man who roams rural Venezuela. The legend states that this young man murdered and gutted his father for abusing the boy's mother. The young man's grandfather responded to the murder by whipping the boy relentlessly, and pouring flakes of red-hot pepper on his open wounds. The grandfather then ordered a vicious dog to hunt down his grandson. El Silbón now haunts cruel men who cheat in their wives or treat them poorly. So if you hear some eerie whistling, while in Venezuela, you might be near this vengeful ghost. Like I said, you have two ghosts coming at you if you cheat on your girl. Don't cheat. That's pretty much it, right? What do you get from cheating, huh? You get nothing from cheating. You get El Silbón, or you get the Headless Gringa coming after you. All right, that's pretty much it. Actually, you know what? I don't really understand the Headless Gringa. She's the one who cheated on him. So why is she coming out for people that are alone? That makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. By the way, let me take this time to take a break and tell you guys how much I appreciate you guys coming. You know, it really does mean a lot to me. You guys listening to my stories. To the stories that I'm reading, actually. Not my stories, alright? My stories will come later. Alright? But, you know, I really do appreciate it. Also, you know, if you're in your car, you know, don't drive and playing with your phone. Jeez. Christ. You know how many times I almost got run over this year while from people who are playing on their phones? Too many to count. Too many to count, man. Oh my god. And then they act like if it's my fault too. Hello? Okay. I mean, the light is green on my side. I'm gonna walk. I'm on the crosswalk, and you're over here trying to turn. There's something wrong with you. All right. So don't play with your phone. You know, if you're hearing my stories, you know, set your phone aside. You know, look up Mystery Gaming Inc. and click on the first episode of Tales from Around the Campfire, and just leave it on speaker, or hook it up to your car's apps. I don't know, okay? And just leave your phone alone. Focus on driving. All right? I don't want to have to read a ghost story about any of you guys. Okay. Back to the stories. This one comes from Peru. La Casa Matusita. Located in downtown Lima, stands La Casa Matusita, an ordinary-looking yellow building. A local legend says that this building has the scene of a gruesome crime, and two popular stories are told around the area. The first version says that a local Peruvian man slaughtered his entire family before committing suicide, while the second version says the hallucinogens were served at a dinner party, leading to a horrendous bloodbath. Both stories have one thing in common, though. They state that the second floor is believed to be haunted, to the point where just entering would make someone go insane. Well, I mean, what can I say, right? Don't take drugs. You might start seeing things, and things can get bad from there. This one comes from Chile, living in a ghost town. The abandoned town of La Noria was a mining town fueled by slave labor during the 19th century. Since then, the town is said to have been deserted, with witnesses claiming to see ghosts of slaves wandering around the town cemetery. According to legend, the spirits are believed to be from open graves and exposed skeletal remains of the slaves that died tragic deaths. They now haunt the area that is the graveyard of La Noria. I can see why, you know, ghosts appear, because they don't have a proper burial. Not only do you have ghosts that have unfinished business in this earth, but have a proper burial for your loved ones, or even for people that you don't know. Have proper burials for them. That way they can go at ease to wherever they need to go. We're only going to read a few more, for this first episode. We don't want to overwhelm you guys with stories. We all know that we have things to do. So, this one comes from the website called bustle.com. Alright? Fossil.com, and the article, of course, again, is called 10 Spooky Folk Tales from Around the World by Catherine Kovacs. It was published on October 15, 2015. Some of the stories that I am looking for over we've already read. So we're only going to read a couple that we haven't, right? This first was called Silverpilen, the Ghost Train of Stockholm. Not a specific story, but more of a recurring character in many Swedish urban legends. The Silverpilen was a strange train, silver instead of the normal green trains not often seen by residents of Stockholm, starting in the 1880s. Rumors began to spread that the Silverpilen was a ghost train. Legend has it that if a passenger is picked up by the wayward train, they will disappear forever, or resurface weeks or even years later with no memory of where they have been. It's said that the cars are either empty or full of ghosts, and occasionally it's connected with an abandoned train station called Kimling, leading to the phrase Bara de Doda, Steiger av Kimling. I do apologize. If I butcher that. I don't speak Swedish, or whatever language this is from, or only the dead get off at Kimling. Try not to think about it. That the next time you're in New York City and waiting for a subway. Well, I mean, from my experience, all the trains here in the United States are silver. You know, it's rare to see a colorful train, like a different colored train. You know, I live in California. There's a bunch of silver trains here. Yes, there's trains with stripes on it. You know, like yellow stripe, red stripe, but that just means that they're different lines of trains. Who knows? Because this was called Botan Doro, or the Pony Lantern. Half love story, half ghost story, and wholly terrifying. The story of the Pony Lantern began in the 17th century Japan. Although many versions exist, they also follow the same general premises. On the night of Obon, a Japanese festival that honors the spirits of one's ancestors, a widowed samurai named Ogiwara meets a beautiful woman named Otsuyu, always accompanied by a young girl holding a pony lantern. The lovers met in secret from dusk till dawn, and one day, an old woman who has lived by Ogiwara for many years grows suspicious. Spying on the two of them, the old woman is horrified to discover Ogiwara is a loving embrace with the skeleton. Needless to say, he's a bit horrified to discover that this is as well, but his love for Otsuyo is too great. And the story ends with his dead body wrapped in her skeleton. This story is endured for centuries, having been a kabuki play, the subject of several paintings, as well as several films. You know, love has no bound. Love has no age as well. But do keep in mind, you gotta respect the law with that last one. But you know, if you truly love someone, not even death will do you part. This was called Deer Woman. Stalking the mid to Pacific Northwest is a deer woman, a creature that features in the mythology of several Native American tribes, most notably the Chippewa. Her form alternates between that of an old woman or a deer, but she mostly favors the form of a young and beautiful maiden, with the feet and legs of a deer. The deer woman often enjoys standing out of the hunting trails, hoping to lure young men over to her so that she can trap them with her magic before it's too late. She is also fond of dancing, known to enter dancing circles to dance the night away, occasionally using her beauty and dancing ability to lure young men out, but out into the forest. According to the Chipewa, she can be chased away with a chant, tobacco, or simply noticing that her feet aren't human. Well, yeah, if you're in the forest or if you're hunting and you see a very suspicious woman out in the distance, do be careful and notice their feet first. Who knows? You might be in the presence of the deer woman. This one, everyone should know, right? Davy Jones's locker. Back in the day, being a sailor was more than knowing which direction port or starboard is, or getting really cool mermaid tattoos. In fact, most sailors, and by this I mean most sailors of British and American persuasion, developed a rich folklore all of their own. There are the usual superstitions. Adopting a black cat would bring the ship some luck. Touching a sailor's collar would also bring good fortune. But whistling and carrying a banana on board would bring nothing but bad luck to everyone. One of the most well-known folk tales of the high seas belongs to the story of Davy Jones. From far from being the cute lead singer of the Monkees, Davy Jones was largely considered to be the devil to most sailors. With the idea of being sent to Davy Jones's locker, out of the word for a chest or trunk, being a rather ominous euphemism for drowning. While the origins of the deep sea devil is currently unknown, one of its earliest descriptions comes from the adventures of Peregrine Pickle, originally published by Tobias uh, Smollett in 1751. The same Davy Jones, according to sailors, is the fiend that presides over all the evil spirits of the deep, and is often seen in various shapes, perching amongst the ringing on the eve of hurricanes, shipwrecks, and other disasters to which seafaring life is exposed. Warning: the devoted wretch of death and woe. Davy Jones. Hear it in many, you know, many kids show with different names, just like SpongeBob and what's his name? What's the captain's name? I forgot his name. I do apologize. The ghost captain. I forgot his name, but pretty much that is said to be, supposedly Davy Jones itself. But yeah, if you're out in the sea, in a yacht or on a boat, or even seeing landmarks around, be careful. We don't wanna see you down into Davy Jones's locker. Hawaiian night marchers. Coming from native Hawaiian tradition are the night marchers, or huakai po, which means spirit ranks, ghosts of ancient Hawaiian warriors who rise from their graves on certain scared nights to march out to reenact old battles once more. Often marching right after sunset and right before dawn, they are known to kill whomever witnesses the march. Although there are some ways around this. If one of your ancestors are among the ranks, you can be spared. But if that is not the case, you can also avert your eyes, or in some parts lay face down to the ground to show respect. To respect them will lead to great things, but if we don't, it almost always leads to death. Again, respect your elders and respect the ancestors of others. You know, we don't want to catch hands with no one. In other words, this last one is called Skond Hokatas. I do apologize if I do butcher that. There are many categories of ghosts in Bengali culture, from the Petni, the ghost of women who have died unmarried, to the Nishi, ghosts who lure victims into danger by calling to them in the voice of a loved one. But the Skonhokatas are a relatively modern invention. These ghosts are exclusively victims of decapitation by train. They often plead the living to that stumbled upon them for help to find their lost heads, and have been known to enslave those who aren't willing to help, or even turn to violence. Thanks to their lack of brain power, they don't have brains, after all. They are relatively easy to outsmart. Again, with the helping, you know, I remember the story, that I was told a while back, that, you know, my grandma, right? She said that a ghost came to her while she was sleeping. Um, it was like haunting, I guess you can say, right? She said that um, the ghosts interact, and you know, she had to help him out, and so she did, and good things happened about when that happened. So maybe helping out a ghost isn't a bad thing. Maybe helping them out will be a good thing. You know. So this has been the first episode. I really do appreciate you guys coming. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram. If you guys have any stories that you guys want me to read, send them over to on my Twitter. All right, send them over to Twitter, or write down in the comment section what stories you want to hear, and I'll look them up and I'll read them for you. Of course, I'll give credit to where credit is due, of course. And well, yeah, thank you for coming, and subscribe, like, and comment down below. Okay, and so when dusk settles in and the moon begins to quell the sun, remember to always look behind you. Until the next one, peace out, everybody.